few things because they have this incredibly high sense of self-esteem. And I can prove this because Speedo is still in business. But when women need to learn this, we really do need to look. You know, in women, we name our fat lady stores horrible things. And these are real names. Like, I have shopped at all these places. In Memphis, I shopped at Fashions at Large. Kansas City had Other Dimensions. Denver had the all-time worst, Ample Duds. I was like, man, Tensor Us would have been less hurtful. But you know, men aren't like that. They don't name their fat guy store stuff like that, do they? Because they're proud of themselves. They're proud to be big. They're proud to be tall. I'm big. I'm tall. I'm gonna name my store Big and Tall. Big and Tall. They never name their stores anything like Gut and Butt.
Hello and hello. This is Shelly Colman. This is the Funny Women of a Certain Age podcast. You are joining us from wherever you are joining us. And who you just heard was the remarkable Teresa Roberts Logan, who is joining us today from Pittsburgh, a place I have never been. And of course, Carole Montgomery, who is joining us from the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I am in Brooklyn, where all the cool kids think they are. So... Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Hi.
Or should I say hi, Teresa Roberts Logan?
Oh, Teresa's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all.
See, I love that you say hey, y'all. I love that. I was watching some of your stuff on YouTube, and I was listening to a podcast that you did, and I found out that you and I have something in common. We are both, well, I'm half Southern, and you are fully, you're from Memphis, is that right?
Yes. Born and raised there, and then I've lived all over.
Yeah. My dad was from Kentucky, so I'm half Southern, kind of, because some people don't consider Kentucky South. Oh, well, cool. So then, if I do suddenly start talking like you, please don't take it as an insult. It's just sometimes I do that because some words sound better with a Southern accent.
Yes, they do.
They
like
do.
Waterfall.
They sure like waterfall.
And don't tear down that statue.
And cornbread. Stuff like that.
Banjo.
And don't swim with gators.
Teresa, when did you grow up in Memphis?
I grew up in Memphis, yeah, and I went to school in Memphis, went back to Memphis State when it was called Memphis State way back in the day. And then I moved to Kansas City to work for Hallmark Cards as a writer-artist. And then I moved to Chicago for a while. And then I moved to Denver, Colorado for 20 years. And my son was born and raised there, our son. I always say my son, and then my husband goes, yours. But he's not, he doesn't speak Southern like that, even though he is Southern. And then lived in Williamsburg, Virginia, and then Washington, D.C., and now Pittsburgh. So, yeah.
Why did you choose Pittsburgh?
Following theater work, we're following my husband's work, and he trains actors at Carnegie Mellon. So.
Oh, okay. I have a friend that works at Carnegie Mellon also. That's funny. So,
oh, really? In the drama department?
No. I want to say the gaming department. Maybe he's created a lot of video games and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. They're big on games and robotics and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So, but I mean, Pittsburgh's I know, Shelly, you said you haven't been there. I love Pittsburgh. In fact, when I had my son, the first place I went back was the Pittsburgh Funny Bone back in the day. My son was 6 weeks old, and I was good friends with the people who ran it. So they said, do not worry about bringing him, and I basically left him with a bouncer.
I love that.
I literally said I left him in his little car seat, and I went off and did my show. And then when I came back upstairs to the office, and I see this giant tattooed, pierced man, and he's rocking the car seat. And I looked at him and I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, the baby was crying. I didn't want to take him out of the car seat, so it was this giant man, he was rocking, and Lane was sound asleep. Was happier than a pig in shit. It was so funny. But I love.
More comedy clubs should totally do childcare.
Ah, that'll never happen. That will never happen. Are you kidding me?
No,
I mean, I went
no.
to a club with him around the same time, and I was working some biker bar, and the guy at the door goes, "You can't bring the baby in here. He's a minor." And I'm like, "What do you think he's going to do? Crawl up to the fucking bar and ask for a fucking glass?"
Yeah, yeah, serious.
I asked for a tit on the rocks, Ma. He doesn't need to go to the bar, but it's just so interesting that he's a minor. I'm like, yeah, no, really? He's a minor? It's 6 years old. He hasn't seen color yet, and you're giving me shit.
Yeah, serious. To see in his ID. Is his ID vertical or horizontal?
Right, exactly, exactly. But it's a great
I like the idea. I like the idea of a bouncer having the baby at the door. You know,
I
and
love
just saying to
that.
somebody, "Get out, or the kid is yours. Get out,
Yeah.
I'm giving you the kid."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Free gift with purchase.
yeah, exactly. Buy one beer, get one baby.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
seriously. I
That's how
remember
you
when
stop
Andrew
people from
was
drinking.
tiny and I was breastfeeding, and one of the first gigs I ever tried to do, and it was like I lived in Denver and I was going to go to Fort Collins. And I thought I was going to be fine. So I leave the baby at home with Gary, of course, and I didn't pump or anything. And oh my
Oh,
God, by the end of the evening, I thought I was gonna explode. Like my
oh yeah,
chest was hurting so bad, and
right.
my boobs has gotten so big. And I remember just walking out thinking, "Oh, let's get this show over." You know, everyone was like, "Okay, I gotta go. We gotta go. I gotta go." You know, I just gotta go
Oh
home
yeah,
and do
oh
something
yeah,
about this.
and yeah.
Oh,
Well, then you
that.
learned your lesson, didn't you?
Oh man, I did. I thought I was gonna explode.
She
Oh
is
my God.
still
Well,
pumping to this day.
till to
Yes.
this day. Oh man, I love creating that visual for everybody right up front.
Well, you know,
Yes, indeed. Well, you know, Teresa is an artist as well, so that's going to be your next cartoon, right? I could totally see that. I love the
Totally.
fact that you do cartoons too.
giant breasts. You can't even see her face because they're just filled with milk. But actually, and Teresa, is this you only have one kid?
Yeah, I have one kid and he's all grown up and he's
Yeah.
great.
So, but they never, even now where they give you information, you just it doesn't matter how much information you have. You're going into this blind. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
I remember
Oh yeah.
two things about the breastfeeding. So my son wasn't latching on. So I had a nurse, I swear to God, she was right out of like a German movie. She's like, "You're taking the breast." And she took my nipple and she like walked to the other side of the room with it. And I'm like, "What are you doing? You've got to get the nipples up so you can breastfeed the child." It was like this whole big thing. And then my milk finally came in like a week later, and they were so, I mean, I have a big chest, but I literally remember walking out of the bathroom and they were like 5 times the size. My husband's eyes popped out of his head like it's a cartoon. You know the cartoon?
He
Yeah.
went all Tex Avery. He went all Tex Avery Wolf on you.
Oh yeah, no, he was just, and I looked at him. I said, "If you touch these, you will die," because it was so painful. Also, because they were just so fucking big.
They're
then,
so painful. And they would
Yeah.
just squirt. I always said that was the only time I could write my name in the snow.
Like my name in the snow.
But it was like double, so it was like spirograph, you know. But I remember Gary, like when I was pregnant, and Gary would ask me all these questions, you know, about okay, so when you have the baby, is it? I was like, Gary, I've had as many babies as you have. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. This is scary. This is like having an alien in your body. It is. It's crazy. And then we had the latch on thing, the problem too. Like it just was. Oh, I remember he would sleep for 45 minutes and feed for 45 minutes. And Gary had gone to work, and I remember him calling one day, and I was just, it was that thing where you're not getting any sleep and you don't know whether
Right.
you
Oh,
shower
yeah.
and you've got 5 minutes. And Gary called me. He's like, "Hey, hon, how's everything going?" And I was like, "Fine, it's fine, everything's fine." And then I just lost it. And he's just like, "Okay, honey, I'm coming right home." I'm like, "Thank you." Went all Laura Petrie on
I
him.
remember sitting in a rocking chair, like 2 or 3 days after he was born, and breastfeeding him and sobbing and going, "I made the biggest mistake of my life."
Because you do just feel like a spigot. You're just a spigot at a certain point.
And my
Yeah.
husband literally, he I gave birth, and the next day, and he's very proud about this. He left me alone to play in a softball tournament. My husband's a huge softball fan, and he's been playing since he's a little boy. And when people give him shit, they go, I can't believe you left Carole with the baby. He goes, it was a championship game. And I was like, you had a baby. And he was just like, because it's so funny. I'm just thinking of all these things. Like, you're right. You're a spigot. You're just sitting there. And I was so tired. Like I wanted to take a shower, and I couldn't leave the baby. And finally, my girlfriend came over, and we had a screen door. I had the front door open. I was just laying on the bed with my son between my boobs, and I was just laying there crying because I just wanted to take a shower. And my girlfriend walked in, and she goes, "Where's the baby?" Because he was stuck. You couldn't see the baby. My tits were so big. He was like, "Where is he? Do you have a third
Like,
tit?"
I don't know.
Oh
Each
my
of
God.
these things weighs 9 pounds, and one of these things
Exactly.
is not like the
Exactly.
other.
Oh my God. Where's the baby? I'll never forget that.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God.
So
So
Teresa,
Wow.
we're doing a show together. Did you know that show?
yes, I'm totally excited about it.
In
I'm very
Indiana, Pennsylvania, which is why would you name a city in a state after the state that's not even near the city? I don't get it.
Well, there's also a Washington, Pennsylvania. There's several places around here, yeah, that people say, well, I'm from Washington. And I'll go, oh, I lived in Washington for several years. And then they'll go, Pennsylvania. And I was like, oh, no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
several
it's
places
weird.
around here.
It's weird. Pennsylvania. I love Pennsylvania. I really do. I mean,
It's really pretty.
I'm not happy with the way the voting went, but we won't get into that. But I do love it. I mean, I think there's some great parts of it and everything. But it's just so it's just so weird to be going all the way out there. I mean, I've driven out there. I mean, my husband and I probably going, and we're probably driving out. But it's like a good 7 hours away from New York. It is not. It's like on the
It
other
takes a
side.
while.
Yeah.
It does take a while. It's funny because I have tried like all these different ways, and like I got so spoiled living in DC going to New York because the Amtrak, like I could catch Amtrak at DuPont Circle and have lunch in New York. I could just catch
Absolutely.
it and have lunch in New York. And now it's like, well, it's 9 hours to Philly, and then it's 2 more hours, and you're like, what? No,
Yeah.
that's not even math.
Yeah,
Stop
and
that.
exactly, and there's no bus or Amtrak. There was nothing. Like I don't know how they built that city. It's like there's like nothing around, and it's a great like that. We may go see a ball game while we're out there because that one that the Pittsburgh Stadium is one of like the coolest stadiums in the country, and it's cheap too. It's not like here in Yankee Stadium where the nosebleed seats are $2,000.
Oh my
Holy
gosh.
crap.
And I haven't even been to a baseball game here, and I like baseball and hockey. I used to go, well, when I lived in Chicago, I would go see games at Wrigley way back in the day. And when I lived in Kansas City, I would pay, this is how long ago this is, I'd pay $3 for the cheap seats so I could sit by the bullpen and watch them warm up. I love
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to go. I do try to go. I've seen actually more stadiums than my husband because of being on the road and everything. Because it used to be, this is how long I've been doing stand up. It used to be that I could get on stage during my show and go, I want to go to a ball game, or I want to go on a boat. And at the end of the show, somebody would go, hey, we're going here. You want to go on our boat? You want to go with? Literally meant that he just passed away. There was a ball player named Lenny Randall. And the only reason that Lenny Randall is known in anything is that there's a great moment in his career where there was a foul ball and he got on his hands and knees and it was going fair and he blew it foul. It's like,
oh,
Lenny came to see me. I think it was I want to say maybe Houston, and he came to see me and he always wanted to do stand up. So we became friends, and like he took me. I ended. Yeah, we ended up being friends for a long time, and I ended up at one of the stadiums. It's got to be Houston, but they were changing over stadiums, and I got to go to see the new stadium. I met a bunch of ball players. But that's what it was like in the old days. You used to say, "I want to go do this," or "Oh,
yeah,
a barbecue this weekend, and people
Yeah.
just take you. You didn't care. They could be, have a big basement full of dead comedians. You went anyway.
Yeah. Now they're not scared enough of us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No,
Now
it
you don't
is
even have to
funny
bring them to
'cause
your basement.
yeah,
You just kill them on stage.
yeah,
Exactly.
really,
Let them lie where they die.
Now we're just doing shows in our basement, so you can't
Yeah,
fill it
that's
up with
true.
dead bodies
That's
anymore.
true.
Well, now Teresa,
But
I was listening to an interview that you did about Dracula. You're a Dracula fan, is that
did you
correct?
listen to Transylvaniacs?
I did. I listened to Transylvaniacs, and first I have to
Oh,
say
look at
that
you.
you saw the Broadway production of Dracula with Raul
Yes,
Julia, and when I heard that,
yes.
I gasped
Oh, I
because
know.
I would have sold my mother to the North Koreans for a weekend with Raul Julia. I swear to you, he was just so hot.
Oh my God.
And
And oh yeah, it was, yeah, go ahead.
please, no, please, if you want to talk about how hot Raul Julia is, you're welcome to do that.
All day
But
long, all day long. Okay, so I was, what was in 78, so I was like 18. And my theater group from a high school that I had graduated from decided to go to New York. And so I made that my senior trip when I was a freshman in college. So I went with them and we saw some amazing stuff, but the most amazing it was he had just taken over after Frank Langella and he
mhm.
wasn't known outside New York. So
Mm-mm.
that production introduced me to two loves of my life, Edward Gorey and Raul Julia. And I
Mm-mm.
remember like the sets just sitting there just being blown away and and then at intermission, everybody was in the lobby going, "Who is this man?" Like he owned that stage. He's one of those people. Even I remember back in the day seeing the movie Tequila Sunrise when we thought Mel Gibson was okay, and
Yeah.
I thought all I could look at was Raul Julia. Like oh my God, Raul Julia. He just, yeah, I'm
Now
sorry.
he
This could
also
become a whole Raul Julia 20 minutes if you let me.
that's
But
fine.
I
I
love
just
him
gives
so
me a
much.
chance to think about him some more. But
Oh,
he played Gomez in the Adams Family movies, two of the
yeah.
Adams Family movies, and I thought he was perfect. But this
Yes.
brings me back around sort of to Dracula and horror movies. Is it just Dracula that you're into, or is it all vampires?
Oh, all vampires, and then I love horror movies. I like certain kinds of horror movies, but I'm a huge horror movie fan. And I love reading horror. And like for 1 year for my birthday, my husband sent me to the Telluride Horror Festival in Telluride, Colorado, and I went so. And then during COVID, I attended it online, and I think my record for movies, I saw 34 movies in
Oh
4 days.
man,
Wow.
wow.
A number of those were short, but I just love horror, and I'm a big Dracula fan. I read the book almost every year. This is how big a nerd I am. I have this book called The Essential Dracula, and they went through and they have footnotes, and I went through and corrected the footnotes. That's how big a nerd. I'm like, oh, girl, you don't understand what that meant. And here, and in my own little copy, this is my
Wow.
little nerddom. This is
Oh,
my
Now it
that's
seems
little
to me that the
geekdom.
essential Dracula would be wings and teeth. That's pretty much the essential Dracula, right? What more
That's
do you
right.
need?
But there's so many good iterations. And this podcast I was on, it's a friend of mine and a friend of hers in Philly, and they're watching every iteration of Dracula there is and reviewing it. So they're trying to do them in order. And I was on the Dracula 2001 because I told them, I said, I'll make a case for the lore. I know what people say about this movie because it's very 80s, and Gerard Butler has like airbrushed abs and stuff, and he walks around shirtless. He looks like a White Snake video, most of it. You expect him to crawl on top of a car at some point. But I just love all iterations, and I just like a lot. I think it's a really interesting. I think Dracula's a really interesting horror. Uh, it's a horror story, but just the whole all the stuff about good and evil and the whole psyche of saving people and stuff. And then several years ago, I ended up going to Dublin, Ireland, and I had just bought a ticket during COVID to get a cheap ticket. And I had it scheduled for after COVID, but they were, which I figured a couple years out. And so anyway, I got a great ticket. And I ended up being there random days during the Bram Stoker Festival. and I got to go to this Nosferatu at 100 panel, and Dacre Stoker,
Wow.
who was
Wow.
there. It was just really like crazy. And then I also ended up getting to do comedy in Ireland because in between buying the ticket and going to Dublin, I happened to get a job opening for an Irish comedian in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's great.
And then he has a club in Dublin, and he said, okay, you have to call them and do a set. And I was like, you're kidding me. Okay.
Wow.
And they were really nice.
Oh, the scene in England and Ireland and Scott, the comedy scene is, they love women. I mean, it's like there were many times I thought I'm going to just go over there. I mean, I know some English female comics, and it's still not. It's never going to be easy for us. But I remember, but they do their stand up scene a while ago was, you remember during the 80s when stand up had just really taken off? That's what it was like about 10 years ago in England, that you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a great place. I would love to go out there. I would love to bring funny women out there. I think that would be a great, just to go out.
It would be amazing. I would love that. I've thought it would be so great to just get to just do several gigs, just string them together, pay for the trip, because they were so welcoming. And I got to say, I was a little nervous, because America. And
You don't even have to say anything else. America.
yeah. And the first thing I did was I thought I got to break the ice, because everybody else there was from Dublin, and the comics backstage had kind of talked around it, and finally they were like so relieved to find out I am not, the way they think we all might be. And so I'm being so diplomatic, and I want everyone to be really proud of me right now. But I got up, and the first thing I said was, yes, I'm from, because she introduced me as from America. And I said, yes, I'm from America. And first of all, I just like to say, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I want to tell you all how sorry we are. And I apologized for like 2 minutes, and then they left.
That's great. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course, if you had gone up there with a red hat, they would have been like, get this bitch off.
So let's talk some more about horror then. Keeping it nice and light. Carole, are you a horror fan also?
Not really. Except for Stephen King. I love Stephen King.
I love Stephen King.
But I don't think he's the type of horror that Teresa's talking about. But I do. He's such a great writer. Like you could read. Like one of my favorite books is It, and that book is so terrifying. Like within the first 3 pages, you're like, oh wow, a clown that eats children. Okay, let's keep going.
Let's go with this.
What it was? I just remember sitting there going, I love this man, because it was just so out of. You're reading about, and the way he opens it is that you have no idea this is coming, and then page 3, clowns eat kids. Okay, I get. So I like that type. What I don't like is a lot of horror movies now. I don't like violent and bloody.
Yeah.
I can't. Especially if I'm with my husband, I'm basically looking. I'm like looking out from under his arm, because I'm like a little girl that way. I'm like, I don't see it. No. So, but I have to tell you, because Teresa was mentioning that Raoul had taken over for Frank Langella, and I don't know if you know the story, and I don't remember now if I've just told the story so many times, or if I was actually at this show. I really don't remember. But because it was so fucking long ago. What Teresa said, you were 18, so that was what? How many years ago? A long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. I'm 64 now.
So the story was that, if Frank Langella also was, because I did see him, but I'm not sure if this story is true or not for me. But the story goes that he was on stage, and it's Dracula, and it's this heavy thing and everything, and he was doing a monologue, and a teacup fell off the table and started to spin on the floor.
Wow.
And he stopped what he was doing, and we all, I'm going to say me, we all looked at the teacup and watched it spin. And it was one of those teacups that was spin, and then like it must have taken 2 or 3 minutes for it to stop, and just stop. And then he goes, and stay there.
I believe that,
You
man.
know, I think I did
It's
see it.
really
I really do
amazing.
because I just remember that it was just such a mind-blowing thing for this actor. What a great moment as an actor, because a lot
Oh,
of people wouldn't have done that. But he was so good at what he did that because he knew if he continued, everyone was looking at that fucking cup. Right.
yes. Oh,
Everybody
that's
was
so
looking
real. That's
at the cup. And he
I
was so good
love
at that.
that.
I mean, whenever I see great acting, I always have to just go, bravo. I mean, I do because there's such bad acting. So,
Oh
when
yeah.
somebody really engaged in that role, it's because that's why I go to see plays all the time. You know, I'm not going to be going to a lot of plays this year because they're so fucking expensive.
Oh
Just,
hell
Oh, I
yeah.
know. We have a friend in Othello right now with
oh my
Denzel,
God.
and we're looking at the tickets and going, oh,
They're like
oh.
$1,000 for orchestra. Well, it's Denzel and Jake Glenn.
Gyllenhaal, yeah.
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal, yeah.
But it's like, come on, guys, that's not right.
That
I mean, I
hurts.
understand these guys make millions of dollars, but Jesus, come on. Like Todd, my husband, wanted to get me tickets because Clooney's here, and I've been in love with Clooney since we were dating. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause the guy's got me- and
You and
those,
Clooney were dating?
I
yes,
know
we
she and
were. We were
Clooney,
dating, and
man.
then I married Todd instead because he looks
Now
like
it
me.
now it comes out.
Yes. So it was the tickets for Clooney were $1,000 also in the orchestra, and
Oh,
I said to him, honey, I said I love George. I'm not spending $1,000 on George Clooney, okay? Unless he's fucking going down on me at the time, I'm not spending $1,000. But actually, a friend of mine told me that one of the guys that was at the show last night said, "Why he wrote the movie? Watch the movie. It's based on his movie. Go see the
hmm.
movie, and you've seen it." The one show I want to see is Gene Smart's coming into town, and
Oh, that would be cool.
yeah, and I looked at the tickets and it's just so funny to me. They're like, I want to say 200 or 300 bucks. That I can deal with.
Mm.
I mean, but $1,000, that
It's painful, and because the last time I paid for a Broadway show was, I think Andrew was 12, and he and
oh
I went to
wow.
New York, and we had tickets to see The Lion King because a friend of ours was playing Scar, and then we didn't have any other plans, and we just got to New York, and we went to that Martian restaurant in Times Square,
I
It's
know.
not
and then
there
I
anymore, by
text,
the way. That's
oh man,
gone.
so I'm texting our friend Jackie Anaramian, who's in The Old Man right now. And then but Jackie says, "Well, if y'all are here, I'm in a show around the corner." And I'm like, "What? Okay, cool." And she says, "So I'll get you tickets." So we go around the corner, and it's Julius Caesar with Denzel Washington. And
Oh,
so she
Oh
said,
wow.
do you want Andrew to meet Denzel after? And I said, oh, I said, yeah, and I'll hang back and just let him. So after the show, Jackie gets Andrew, and she knows Andrew from way back since he was born. And there's this huge line of women to see Denzel, and he's standing there doing his thing and meeting people and taking pictures. Well, we had just landed, and I didn't have a phone that took pictures with me, and back then, and so Andrew gets to the front of the line, and Denzel like shakes his hand, talks to him a second because Jackie's introducing him, and then he looks at me, puts his arm around Andrew, and like smiles like for the photo I'm obviously as a good mom ready to take. And I went, I don't have a camera. And Denzel Washington looked at me like, you idiot. He just looked at me and went, okay. And then like, I'm so sorry, Andrew. So we've had this kind of running joke. So Andrew's like, when am I going to get to see my friend Denzel in a show again so I can get a photo op with him? But anyway, yeah. He just looked at me. I thought, boy, you haven't been shut down till you've had Denzel look at you like you're an idiot. Like, I
You
know,
were talking
bad
about
mom.
Carol.
I didn't know Denzel. I didn't know.
Carol, you were saying that for to pay $1,000 to see George Clooney, I know what you mean because I got to see Sting and Peter Gabriel at Madison Square Garden because the radio
Oh,
station I worked for, and we
wow.
were sitting way up in the back at MSG, and I found out the price of the tickets in the section we were sitting in. It was like $300 some dollars. And I thought, my God, the people on the floor, what are they paying? And somebody tossed out a number, and I was like, no, I'm sorry. I would have to be sitting on Peter Gabriel's lap while Sting fed me grapes naked. I'm sorry, not happening.
Exactly. But it's it's so interesting because I became a Pink fan later in life, and my husband knew that, and he said to me, Pink's on tour. And I thought because I'll explain this later, but my husband works on Broadway. So I said, does somebody on the show have them? He goes, no. He goes, I think somebody mentioned it, and so I ended up going online, and it was like, oh, they were only $75. I had great seats. So sometimes, like
Wow.
when the closer you get to the date, like
Mhm.
people don't show up, or they were. I didn't go through a broker. I just went on the site and
yeah.
got it, and it was great. But for the most part, and my son works at Webster Hall, so he always gets free tickets. Like we went to go see Neil Young at Forest Hills for
Oh,
free.
Nice.
wonderful.
We were like this close to him. You know what I mean? So it's just
Yeah.
you get spoiled when you're in this business because you do get free tickets all the time. And
Yes.
so and when we're hard working on shows, we've seen a lot of plays for free because
Yeah.
plays
Yes.
especially don't usually sell as much. What's
Right.
fascinating to me is Clooney's show is like pretty much sold out. Glenn Ross is sold out, and that's at the Palace Theater, which is a fucking huge theater.
Wow.
And we went to go look for tickets, and I was like, "Oh my God, there are pictures." Tourists don't go to see plays. When
Right.
if you're online at the TKATS booth, which is the half price tickets booth, I've done
Yeah.
it so many times. There's lines and there's thousands of people. Then right off on the corner is the play line, and nobody's on that line. Literally nobody's on that line. You just walk up and like, "I'd like 2 tickets for the play." Here you go. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's great.
It's weird because this is the first one you've got you've got Glenn Ross, you've got Good Night and Good Luck, and then Gene Smart's one. It's like it's fascinating to me that now all of a sudden people are going to go see plays. It's like, excuse me,
Right.
that was my thing.
That's
My
my
fucking
thing.
thing.
Yeah, I
So,
got dibs.
I
Go
know,
see
Jim.
Frozen. Go on, go see Frozen. Leave me
Yeah.
alone.
So, what is Jean Smart doing? Is she doing Jean Smart on Broadway, where she just talks at you, or is she
no,
acting?
she's acting. She's doing a show called Call Me Izzy. It's a solo show, which as somebody who develops and
Cool.
directs solo shows, I'm dying to see it, and I just love her to death. I loved her before Hacks. I mean, I was a Jean Smart fan before that, so I'm hoping I can get to go see her, but we'll see. We'll see.
So
Wow.
many good things. So
All
many
right.
good
So now
things.
what we have to do is stop promoting other people's shows and start
Oh,
promoting shows that you are doing. So, Teresa,
that's
other
right.
than the show in Indiana, Pennsylvania, Montana, Georgia that you're doing on May 3rd with Carole and Funny Women of a Certain Age, what else you got coming up?
Well, I'm mainly doing shows in the area, and
Mhm.
I'm also recording a 45-minute set at Carnegie Stage here in
Oh, nice.
May 11th. And I'm also going to do this thing on March 30th called Pie, which is the Pittsburgh Indie Expo, because I do a lot of those comics festivals, where you go sell your wares.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
so I print up my own comic books, or have them printed. I have several books with a major publisher, but for the indie fairs, I usually do zines and my own self-published comics. And
So the stuff
um,
that's already published with the major publisher, what's that called?
I have one book called The Older I Get, The Less I Care. And that is a book of my cartoons. And that's with Andrews McMill Publishing. And then I have 3 coloring books with them too, which I
Oh,
love
wow.
just drawing big doodles. So they're paisleys and mandalas and things like that. So they're just fun. And I love, and actually, y'all, with America, we have been all looking for, I think people are really distracted. Everybody I'm talking to is kind of getting depressed and distracted. And I've actually been meeting with several comedian friends here on Wednesday nights, and we pull out coloring books and color.
that's right. That's
And it
Do you
very
have
makes
milk
us
and cookies
so
also?
happy. I'm sorry?
Do you have milk and cookies also?
Oh, you know what? Actually, there's a coffee shop in the library, so we usually do have cookies and coffee with milk. So does that
Perfect.
count?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It
So
really
people can
is.
find,
Like I pour out my erasable Crayolas and we pull out a coloring books
that's
and we
right.
just sit there and go, this is great. We just love it. It's so
That's great.
nice.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Coloring
so,
therapy. We call it coloring coven, but there's no witchcraft involved. It's just kind of alliterative. So we like
right,
that.
right. So the books can be found on your website?
Yes, there's links to my links on my website, and Andrews McMeel is a division of Simon and Schuster. So anywhere that buys Simon and Schuster books can order it for you, and that's most
Oh,
places.
cool.
So I have, yeah. So go to my website, laughingredhead.com. I used to have red hair, and that's why I have
Well, now you're going
have
to have
that
to
name.
change it to Laughing Pink Head or
I don't
Laughing Whitehead with
know.
a pink blot.
That always sounds like a symptom of measles. Every time I try
Yeah.
to think, laughing pink head.
By the way,
Laughing pustule. Let's go with
There you go. No, okay. No, okay. I'm sorry I brought it up. No.
I
I
just
watch a lot of horror.
we were talking about ticket prices. So for the Indiana show, it's a very reasonable ticket. The top ticket is 55, the midsection is 46, and the back section
Right.
is 47. So you have a chance. I'm just saying to the people listening in Pittsburgh, in that area, you have a chance to see something that's worth as much as George Clooney or Denzel Washington. But
That's
we're
right.
giving you such a deal. So you should they
Such a deal.
such a deal. I mean, like, think about it. When those shows tour, they're going to come to Pittsburgh and they're going to cost that much money. But you get two good tickets, $55 each, 110, parking, have dinner. It's only going to cost you a couple of $100, compared to going to see, Denzel, who
And
is not,
Denzel's not going to make you laugh.
yeah, he's not.
Probably not. Probably not.
Neither
Probably not.
one.
And
Yeah.
he won't. And we won't give you a coloring book either.
Yeah,
I've asked him about it, and he just won't do it.
and he won't. And all he'll do is look at you the way he looked at Teresa when she didn't have a picture, a photo, a
You think
camera.
Clooney's going to make you laugh as much as we will? And people need to laugh so badly. I do think no matter what your politics, everybody needs to laugh right now.
Everybody
Just
needs to laugh. This is the time.
everybody.
Yeah,
Like
and
we all need it.
yep, and let's not forget that Missy Hall will also be on the show.
I
It's gonna
love
be
Missy Hall too.
yeah, it's
She's
gonna be a
great.
great show. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So everybody, come down, come
Yes,
down.
please.
Now, Carol, you, in addition to the Funny Women live shows, something very cool happened with Funny Women of a Certain Age specials. Want to talk about that a little bit, please?
Sure, very quickly, because I know we're running out of time because we were all yapping, which is exactly the way we like
Which is
these.
the point.
We signed a deal in October with Comedy Dynamics to re-release the original specials, and this is the month because the Showtime did this too. It's Women's History Month, so let's release everything now. So we re-released all three specials. They're streaming everywhere now because what had happened is when we originally got the deal with Showtime, they basically you sign like a leasing deal, for lack of a better explanation to everybody. And so each special had a 2-year lease, and then it's over. So people were saying we can't see the specials anymore. So having this happen now, and they're everywhere: Apple TV, Amazon, YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah.
They're all over the place, and so it's great. It'll open up the specials to more people now because the tour's been doing so well that people are like, we want to see the specials. So it's really been nice. It's really, and this is so interesting about social media. So we've had two of the clips from the specials. One was with Fran Drescher and the other one was with Lynn Koplitz go viral. And it's very funny to watch in real time what the internet is really like, and when the trolls come out and make comments, and
Oh, great.
it's quite fascinating to me because it's just an interesting thing to be like, oh, okay, that's why you don't want to go viral, because then you're sitting there blocking all these people that are just going, I don't understand why that's funny. I don't think that's funny. Well, you should get a new job. You're not funny. And it's like, you're in a basement in your mother's house. Shut the fuck up.
I never understand too why people have to, occasionally I too come across things on the interwebs that I do not find entertaining or funny. And it's weird how I go on with my life.
Right, exactly. It's I know. Like, guys, you don't have to say you don't like somebody. You just if you
No.
like it, we want you to like it and comment and share it. But if you don't like it, don't. It's like I used to say to people, if you're not happy with the comedy show, then get up and leave. I'm not asking you to stay. I don't need. After all the years I've been in, I do not need your validation. Okay, if you don't like it, it's like the same thing with TV. Like years ago, people were like, "Oh, that show is so." Then don't fucking watch the show. I mean, it's simple as that.
I can't. I have the remote stuck to my hand. I can't press the off button. I have to keep watching.
Right.
But
right.
now
Or have your child.
but there is that thing where you invest so much time into a show. You're like, it has to get better. It has to get better. And then sometimes it just doesn't. But you know what? I don't write a letter. I usually don't write a letter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, clearly you're not doing it right, Teresa.
I
Yeah.
know.
Right.
I should be trolling all those people on social media, shouldn't I? For life.
Yeah.
That's what I ought to
what
do.
it's for.
Forget comedy and comics. I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
You know what? It's not worth it to me anymore. When people make a shitty comment, or if they want to engage with me politically, I just go block. I don't have the time anymore. I'm 67 years old. I said this on stage. When I'm on stage, the Grim Reaper is in the back, and he's waiting to go on next.
I'm always thinking when somebody wants to, somebody down front wants to mess with you, and you just want to go, "Oh, my Padawan learner." You have no idea. I've had bikers throw knives on stage with me. I am not going to worry.
I've had darts thrown at me. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Please.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're bulletproof
You just
at this
want to
point.
go.
Yeah.
You do feel like, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Is that what you have? Well, we can deal with this or not.
Right.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I know, but I love the crowds. Like, I love the funny women of a certain age, like the whole thing, because women need to laugh so hard. I know men find us funny too, but I also feel like to have a show that's women of experience and in life, in comedy, and all of it, there's just something so brilliant and affirming about it, all that. And so I'm super excited to be a part of it. And just
one of the servers at the club last night that I just stuck my head in and went, I want to be on the show, came up to us afterwards and said it was just so cool that a bunch of women had come to see a bunch of women. And she's a young comic, and she was very excited about it. So the point here is people who are listening, people of the earth, please go and see Funny Women of a Certain Age in Indiana, Pennsylvania, Montana, Georgia, whatever the name of the city is or the state, wherever we're going to be, because you can go to the Funny Women of a Certain Age web page, which is, I don't know if I can get this right, www.funnywomenofacernage.com. Did I get that right?
Yeah, there you go.
Find all of the shows that all of these fantastic women are going to be on, including Carole Montgomery, including Teresa Roberts Logan. I got all 3 names in there. Good for me. And do it and support them. Please go to Teresa's website also, which is Funny Redhead.
Laughing Redhead.
Laughing Redhead. I got the other ones. Okay, one down. And go to Carole Montgomery's website too, and follow us. Follow us here on Spotify. So thank you very much, Teresa Roberts Logan. Thank you very much, Carole Montgomery, for taking some time out of your evening. And this is going to go up onto the internet on Monday. I don't know what the date is. It's like the 20-something of March, but it doesn't matter because it'll live on the internet forever. Everybody say bye.
Bye. See you guys soon. Take care. Bye.